Welcome to a new daily top AskReddit video. Today's topic:
what should go in the fridge that people don't realize should go in the fridge? After reading through all comments, I feel that it's best I put my entire kitchen in the fridge. Except for the tomatoes edit. The amount of upvotes is hilarious. I don't even like tomatoes rolling on the floor laughing. You may preserve the tomatoes if you put them in the fridge, but at the cost of their souls. Opened grated parmesan. Pizza places don't like this comment. Always look in the table shakers of Parm cheese. Used to work at Fazoli's and the amount of mold cheese in them was horrific. Yes. I worked at a place that served a couple varieties of pizza. In its soft opening, I noticed the mold growing in the shakers. I changed them out and washed the old ones, but I didn't stay there very long for other reasons. So I'm not sure if they did anything about it after that. Yeah, fresh parmesan and granulated cheese product are not the same thing. Opened maple syrup. Only if it's real maple syrup. That high fructose crap can stay in the cabinet. You misspelled trash. Learned this the hard way when I got mold in a quart of expensive maple syrup. It's probably too late, but it's safe to skim the mold off and boil the syrup. Then totally edible. Also learned the hard way. That said, maple syrup with mold is usually safe to eat if you skim the mold off. Also obviously understandable if you don't want to do that. But just FYI. Saffron. Seal it in a glass container in the fridge. Will last almost forever. I thought I would slide my amusing saffron story in here. I was checking out at the supermarket and my total came to over $10,000 for maybe 2 sacks of ordinary groceries. It turned out that the cashier had rung up my 2 pounds of apples as saffron threads. I'm not great at noticing my totals at the market, but I thank my lucky stars that I was on the ball that particular day. How off the ball would one have to be to not notice a 5-figure grocery till total? Camera film. It can stay fresh years past the expiration date if refrigerated. You just unlocked a childhood memory of seeing those little containers in the fridge. I never thought to question it back then, and then they were phased out. Now I know. Vermouth. https www.seriouseats.com/best-way-to-store-vermouth-for-cocktails-fridge-vs-wine-saver-rebottling. Learned this recently. I wish they'd sell that stuff in small bottles for occasional drinkers. Feels dumb to buy a big ass bottle and use like 2 tablespoons then throw the rest away a year later. They do, but only some brands and only some stores. Usually only see the small bottles at specialty stores, but they're out there. As a bartender, thank you. This kills me. To add, people need to date it when they open it. Might be a fortified wine, but it's still got a shelf life. Up to a month, good shape. Up to 2 months, passable but better repurposed for cooking. Edit: to add, bitters get a longer life in the fridge as do pure extracts. Oh man, I made myself a Manhattan last weekend with vermouth from my liquor shelf that's probably years old. Whoopsie Goldberg. Any food that you've cooked and are done eating. Looking at you. In-laws who leave entire meals out on the table or counter for hours. Keep hot foods hot and cold foods cold. Room temperature for either is a bad idea. My mom got food poisoning from this a couple of months ago and it took her a week to recover. She now gets why I was always on her about that. It only took 40 years. TBF, if it took 40 years for her to get sick, I can see why she was ignoring you lol. I thought it was bad to immediately refrigerate hot food. Was better to let it cool down first, in a sealed Tupperware. You are supposed to let hot foods cool before you put it in the fridge. The person that told you it's because it makes your fridge work harder is very wrong as far as the reasoning. It will make your fridge work harder. But that's not why you let stuff cool. The reason is that if you put hot foods in the fridge, it can raise the temperatures of the other foods in there, which can in turn bring those once cold foods into a temperature danger zone that can allow bacteria and whatnot to grow. Source: former chef and have had to go through plenty of food safety regulation stuff. Cooked rice. Not only needs to be refrigerated but should be put in a shallow dish so that it cools faster. Apparently, rice has its own nasty bacteria that is rare in other foods. Learned this in a food handling course run by Public Health. Wait, are there people that don't put cooked rice away? They just let it sit out for hours. My family, and honestly all other Asian families I know, have always left rice and other foods out overnight or for multiple days at a time. It wasn't until I got married and moved out a few years ago that I learned this was something you're not supposed to do. Also, refrigerated rice makes better fried rice. Also, refrigerated rice, and any carb starch that has been cooked and then cooled, contains resistant starch, which is basically fiber. Good for your gut and reduces the caloric content. Edit: I'm getting tons of attention for this comment which I wasn't expecting. A lot of questions are repeating, so I'm gonna summarize some more info below. Q. Wait, how does this even happen? A. Retrogradation. Q. Do you lose the resistant starches when you reheat your food? A. Maybe some. Maybe not at all if you don't reheat it too hot. Q. Can you keep heating, cooling and keep making resistant starches? A. Yeah, but it's not really worth your time. It's not worth doing on purpose just for the health benefits. You are better off eating foods that are already high in resistant starches like chickpeas, bananas, or oats. Resistant starch is more of a happy side effect of eating your leftovers for lunch, as opposed to anything you should be trying to achieve on purpose in your cooking habits. Q. Why is it good for you? A. TL. Doctor, your body is more bacteria than human, and resistant starches and fiber feed some of those bacteria in your gut, and bacteria poop just hanging out in your system is really good for you for reasons we understand only some of the time.